here I am. He's inspired me a lot.
Well, how does that make you feel, Coach?
I'm touched. I mean,
let's go fishing. You know it's really great. Let's go fishing. In the rivers and on the lakes. Let's go fishing. It's easy when you try. Floating on the water with good old Steve and Mike. Floating on the water with good old Steve and Mike.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Let's Go Fishing Show, Mike. And I hate to say that when we don't have any film.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, here we are with a fishing show and no damn blame film. We're going to have to get Wesley up here and let him practice his casting or something.
That'd be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you didn't catch any and he didn't catch any. And
Well, what I caught wasn't worth showing, mostly just catfish and red eyes and stuff down there, bluegill, and I caught 2 little old crappie last Friday there. What little bit time I went down there and fished, and they was about 6 inches long.
yeah,
And I
Well.
fished up the Tennessee River, 5 or 6 hours up through there, and just wasn't nothing there.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, I don't know, folks, you know, we had bad weather move in last weekend, and
Yeah.
we fooled around. 9 o'clock, Mike was still calling me, wanting to know, well, are we going or are we not? And I finally said, no, I'm not going. You go if you want to. You know, the lightning, the flashing around behind the house, and this, that, and the other. Wanted to go really bad, but just didn't want to get in. You know, supposedly Wesley was watching the radar, and I think it made a U-turn when he thought or turned right when he thought it was going to turn left, and so we didn't get to didn't get to go there for a little while Saturday night, and basically I think about 11 o'clock it kind of cleared up and that kind of thing, but anyway, we're glad to be here. We're going to try to talk a little bit about fishing and some other things that's going on, and hopefully we'll get a couple of good call-ins and give us some fishing reports and that kind of thing. But we're, like I said, we're glad y'all are tuned in, and hopefully we can. Our plans are to fish tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday night.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we got planned out, and hopefully we can get on some fish. And now, Mike, before I go any farther, we better say hello to Dad.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
for sure. And Bill and Paul Harrison, Mike Pennington. It's just all of our people that we come in contact with, you know, and every time we get to the boat ramp, somebody says, you know, that we don't know or haven't talked to it face to face or run up, you know, yeah, you know why, and you know, and so that's good, and we're glad that some people are watching, and we just hate that we don't have a good fishing report or a good film to show you, and hopefully we can get some film this weekend, and you know, and go from there. The only thing, there's a report that I got was a gentleman went last night, and he got off work, and he went last night, and he fished from about 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock and never had but 2 bites, and he went back home.
Yeah.
Hello, Dudley. All right, and you? Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Sure had. But you know, we fished from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and he got tired of nothing and went back home and had 2 bites.
Yeah. Yeah. you know,
So I don't know what the deal is, and I think I told you all last week, gentlemen. Did I tell that last Thursday that boy at work caught that, what, 7, 8 or something like that? Did I tell you about it?
Hmm?
Yeah. It's supposed to. 7, 7, 8, 7, 9, something like that on a drop shot
Out of where?
out of Norris.
Out of North. Well,
Yeah.
that's dandy.
And that's the biggest one I've heard of in quite a while. That's what I
Yeah,
told
you
him.
kidding.
I said, man, you know, he said they went out that afternoon, and he had a drop shot on there and said, I'd caught a good fish off that place before. He was kind of down there close to the dam, not, close to the dam. It wasn't near the dam or anything, but he said, heard this commotion out behind the boat and said there were some fish breaking out there. 2 or 3 fish came up. Said I just turned around and looked to see what it was. And said when I turned back around, said my rod was being over. Said, I set the hook and said, man, the fight was on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I said, well, by far, that's the biggest one I've heard of up there in quite a while.
A long time.
Yeah.
A long
So he said it was in about 30 and 35 foot of water.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Mike. We may not be fishing deep enough.
Here in the daytime.
Yeah, in the afternoon.
Yeah.
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 So I think on Saturday a week ago, they were out there that afternoon, and he caught that fish.
Well, I tell you, that's a nice one. Ain't no
And the
doubt.
only bite they had, he said.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Very good.
Yeah, and I hope that's not the case that we have tomorrow night or Saturday night or Sunday night, whenever we do get to go. We got to figure them out and find them and catch a bunch of them.
That's for sure. I just hope this weather lets us go. I mean, it's been so dang rough last few days between all the things and just playing catch up on everything, especially the grass mowing. I mean,
Yeah.
run in down there this evening and going to try to get the grass mowed and got drowned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have to bush hog it looks like.
Yeah.
Bail it or something, you know. I mean, it just
Yeah.
a fight all the time
Yeah.
trying to get something done and make you
Yeah.
knowing good and well you don't want to go to the lake, but you got too much to get done.
That's true, Mike. That's true. I don't know. Just listening to the weather report, it's chances of tomorrow afternoon, but drying out through the night is what Todd Howe said. I don't know. We'll just have to check it out there and see. I'm hoping. I will do this there tomorrow afternoon. If we can't go at a good time, then I'll go lay down and take a nap till
Yeah.
a good time comes, and then we'll go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something else we haven't done. None this year is stay till daylight.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
We've not made it till daylight. I don't know if that's because you're getting older or what the deal is. Huh? Well, I don't remember. I mean, it's 5 o'clock. I don't call that day. I call daylight when the sun's up over the ridge, huh?
See, now
I
he,
about got to the house. I'm talking about still being on the water when that happens. Yeah, that's what I call
he
it, huh?
slept all night, so
I know he did, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not counting the sun back behind us coming up. I'm talking about I'm on the water fishing when it comes up. Yeah. Well, yeah, you could see a little bit, but then with the sun still hadn't got up till we got up on top of the hill and headed home. But anyway, we used to stay till about 8 or 9 o'clock and then go home.
Yeah.
We might.
That's right.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Get up
Sometimes
there
you
before
can-
dark and don't leave till after daylight.
catch more after daylight than you did all night.
Yeah. And have been known to lay down on the rod locker box and take a little nap, you know, occasionally. Right, Mike?
That's for sure.
Yeah, shoot, I reckon.
Some of you people may not know how or seen anybody fish that drop shot rig, but it's close to the same thing that I fish for the crappie with the weighted sinker at the bottom, and then come up and put a small hook in there. And some of them put a hook a worm crossways. Some of them use a little old small swim bait on it or something like that, and they drop it down there to the bottom and then jiggle their line a little bit against that sinker, and that bait just jumping around. But sometimes them fish, they don't want it to move. They just want it to just sit there because the curiosity gets to the cat, and that's the way them fish are. That's something that just sits there. They just watch it, and then it irritates them so bad they can't stand it, so they got to grab it, you know. And sometimes when it does move, you know, especially on top water or something, you know, when you working a top water plug, sometimes you have to work it real fast, as they call walking the dog, and sometimes you have to pause a little bit after a couple of jerks and let it just sit there, and then all of a sudden one will just jump all over it because they just can't stand it. So when a fish, you get his curiosity up, and sometimes there'll be several of them looking at it, and then one of them decides he better get it before the others do. So,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, that drop shot deal, a lot of them fishes it, especially you pros. You see them when they can get over top of the fish with their depth finders and stuff, kind of about the way I do the crappie, and find the structure and then drop down in the structure and with the minnows and stuff, and see if you can get one to bite. Sometimes down next to the bottom of it, and sometimes they're up the middle of it, sometimes they're up right above it, you know, suspended in it or something, depending on how high the structure comes off the bottom. You may be sitting there in 30 foot of water on top of a brush pile or something there, and it may come up to 15 foot, and you might not catch a crappie out of it till you get up above that 15 foot and just sit there and hold it, and then all of a sudden one grab it, you know. Some reason or another they'll do that depending on where they're at in it. And this new technology they got out, everybody's a lot of them's talking about, is this live scope deal that Garmin's got out, where it kind of shows the fish down there on it, but you can see them on the graph that I got, but you don't know what they are until you get down there and see what they are. Most of the time they're catfish. But anyway, you see the fish in there on the down scan and stuff there, but like I say, you just have to try them and see what you can find out. That's the reason I like to use two hooks instead of one. I mean, it's up to however you want to do it, but I like to get over top of the structure and work around the edges of it and then get up in the middle of it. And sometimes you count your turns on your reel as you're bringing it up, and mine picks up about 2 foot every time you make a crank. So you count it up, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8, and you come up through the structure and just hold it there a minute, and nothing hits it, and get another reel out of it and sit there, and you can keep up with how deep you are as you come up out of the structure. And sometimes they'll want it when it's dropping down. You know, I've caught a lot of them that hit it on the way down too. But you know, it just depends on what's going on. You have to just keep trying a lot of different things till you find what they want. And just like the depth of water, you know. Sometimes you may be out there in 40, 45 foot of water catching them. Sometimes you may be in there 10 foot of water catching them, but I don't usually get over top of them once they start getting 15 foot or more. when I get out there on top of them. Any shallower than that, I'll move in, maybe use a floater or just a straight line down, you know. Some of them like to use bobber stoppers and set their float there before they can throw it out there, and the line will run down about 10 foot or something, 7, 8 foot or whatever, and stop.
Well, Mike, you know, there's all over the years, you and I alone have seen fishing just take off, you know, evolve to what it is now. Now it's, you know, with all the electronics, the power poles, the trolling motors, everything's just out of this world, you know.
Yeah.
And you and I have been fishing ever since the late 60s, early 70s. Mm-hmm. And, you know, heck, in 1963, that's when we got to lay the boat paddles down and got to pick up a fishing rod.
That's right.
You know, and because, you know, I've told you all before, you know, Mike and I was 6, 7, 8 years old. We sat in the middle seat, and he had a paddle and I had a paddle.
Yeah.
And we paddled that old boat around, and Dad fished, and my mom fished, and whoever else was with us at times, you know, run up the river and come down with the current, and all we had to do was kind of keep the boat in there in the right, pretty close, you know, fishing distance, and then he bought the little 3-horse Johnson and put on the back of the boat, along with that 10-horse Mercury we had, and you know, we got to fish, so, you know, we've been fishing ever since.
You got squirrel hunting a little too, as they call
Yeah,
it.
squirrel hunting too. Yeah, Mike throwing up the trees and stuff. Yeah, so, but you know, we've just seen it. Just, you know, heck, we had Zebco 202, 203s or whatever, and little old fiberglass rods, and you know, now it's man, it's just, you know, it's just unreal. I mean, now you see the fish in live on the graphs and stuff. Yeah, it's just went all over.
It sure has.
You know, because it's, you know, the trolling motor's got spot locks, you know, you can run the thing on the handheld remote and all this kind of stuff. It's really, it's just amazing of what they've done here over the years. You know, back in the day, if you had a dang flasher on the dash, you was doing good.
Yes, sir.
And,
yes, sir.
Which Dad, he had some of that stuff later on, but he always told me and Mike that if you couldn't touch the bottom with your boat paddle, you're in too deep of water. Yeah. That was his belief. I mean, he was just shallow water, and that was it.
Top water is mostly all he knows.
Yeah, top water. I mean, you know, hey, when we went fishing, you know, there wasn't no such things as live wells and stuff. You carried them on a stringer, put them on an old metal stringer, you know, drop them off in the water, and when you got ready to move, run up the lake a mile while you picked the stringer up and laid them in the floor of the boat.
That's right.
And so, you know, and
figured on bringing them home, clean them anyway.
Yeah, they was coming to the house. That was just plain and simple. What you caught, you brought home and cleaned them. And so anyway, I'll get off of that kick. But yeah, fishing has really taken off in the last 20 years, you know, and it's just going to continue to do the same. You know, I don't see it backing up any.
No.
Without a doubt, electronics is just out of this world. We've got boats running 80, 90 mile an hour. Trolling motors that's got a mind of their own will follow the contour lines on your electronics, and I mean, you know, just about drive themselves.
That's true. That's
So,
true.
yeah, I guess the next thing is just go down there and throw this gizmo out in the water, Mike, and the fish start jumping up on the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, I don't know, but what, no telling. But anyway, we'll see what goes on here, but the drop shot rig, you know, and there's so many techniques of fishing that's evolved here in the last 20 years. You know, shucks, I remember when the flipping became a hot item, and the Carolina rig, and
Yeah.
just, you know, on and on, things of that nature.
That's kind of the Carolina rig's kind of what brought the drop shot on.
Yeah.
There, Haitians that don't know about it, a lot of them do it different than what I do, but that they come from more or less down in Florida, where they'd drag the sinker on the bottom and pull the bait in behind it, you know, and depending on how long a leader you want. A lot of them use a swivel up here and above their sinker, and tie a leader line on and the sinker, on the swivel, and then tie their line onto the hook, which I come up with a deal that I like to use because I don't have to tie but one knot.
Well, now start all over again there and show us what you got. Dylan's going to put you on the close-up.
What I've got is a sinker with a bead, and I got a piece of rubber O-ring here. And what I do is I take a needle and run through the O-ring. And of course, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but I drilled a little old hole in that screwdriver, and when I run my line through there just like you would a piece of sewing thread, and double it back there. It didn't drop it through that little hole I've got in the screwdriver to be able to push that rubber back. I like to wet everything to where I can do it, and then grab my needle nose and pull the line through with the needle. And then once I get the line through the O-ring,
I ain't got a dollar bill.
I can usually wet the line, moisten it up there, and slide it up and down, depending on how long a leader I want, and slide it down where I got a foot, or I can go 3, 4 foot, whatever I want my leader to be, and use a big enough piece of O-ring there. They make there at one time made some little old pieces of rubber deal that you mashed, and the hole in the middle of it kind of opened up where you can stick your line through. I ain't seen none in quite a while, but that's the way I rig it, and that way I got one knot on it, and if my line gets burred up, then I wet the line and slide the rubber piece on up, my sinker stop as I call it, and then retie one knot, and I'm back in business again. But that Carolina rig has caught a lot of fish from all the way from Florida to Canada, I reckon. And a lot of them fish a lot of different things. There at one time I seen some of them that was using a jig for a weight, and tie their jig on the bottom and then dragging the Carolina rig behind it, you know. And
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, I've heard of that too.
it's anything to get a bait out there and present it in front of them and see if you can get something to bite them.
Yeah.
Once you find something that they're hitting, you better stay with it.
Yeah, I won't argue that.
You know, it ain't a whole lot different than fishing the Texas rig, but on the Texas rig you you weight just running back and forth on it and stuff, and drags you. Usually drags you worm or whatever you're fishing behind it right down on the bottom and stuff, and you pick it all up and shake it through the trees and stumps and rocks or whatever. But sometimes they're a lot easier to fish a Texas rig than it is a Carolina rig in rough structure, but they like that thing to move out there and stop sometimes and just lay there. And, like I say, that curiosity gets them sometimes. That moving all the time won't get them. You know, the swim baits or sinkholes or something like that. It comes out there and just slowly flows down or just plumb stops like a jerk bait or something like you was talking about, just spins and just sits there, and then when that curiosity kicks in, it can't stand, so
Yep.
you got to bite it.
Okay. All right, Dylan, how about taking us to a break and we'll come back. Hey folks, here at Tim's Tires, there's the times that they're open. The day, you know, that's 5 days a week. They're open from 8 to 12:30 on Saturdays. All right, folks, we're inside here in the warehouse. Just wanted to give you a quick look at all the tires and stuff they got. And here we are. There's some four-wheeler tires, lawnmower tires, just a mixture of about any kind of tire you want. So keep that in mind. Then here we get into the light truck, automobiles, that kind of thing. So just walk through here and give you quick look at what they've got in stock here. I mean, you know, it's it's just, I don't know, man. They must be a couple of thousand tires in here right now, if not more. Sizes, shapes. You truckers, you know the word. This is the place to get your tires for your trucks. And these over here, getting a little bigger sizes, light trucks, heavier automobiles, this kind of thing. And as you can just see back through there, it's just, heck, I don't know, this building's probably about 300 feet, one end to the other, and they're wall to wall. Remember Tim's Tires, folks. That's down here on Highway 27 on your way into Harriman, and get the best deals they're going. So give them a call, price check, whatever you want to, and if you want a special tire that they might not have, you could, they'll definitely get it for you. Tim's Tires. Hey folks, here at Edgemoor Outdoors, we're going to run inside and shoot some film. Don't forget Edgemoor Outdoors over here on Edgemoor Road. Hey folks, we're in here at Edgemoor Outdoors. Man, the place has been packed with people. The reason being because this is the best sporting goods store this side of the Mississippi River. So if you want to get in here and get you something, you better come by. See Jim and Vance and Jeannie here at Edgemoor Outdoors. They've got everything you might need to fish with, whether it be from a boat or from the bank or whatever. Rods, reels, the walls are lined with baits, tackle. I mean, just great store. Jim's been a sponsor of the show for a long time, and we really appreciate him and his family. And but do get by here and visit with them at Edgemoor Outdoors. Live bait, just everything in the world. We'll just take a little quick stroll down through here. Jim said he was tired of seeing Vance on the TV every Thursday night, so he wanted me to get somebody besides him. I'll take that back. He didn't say that, but I thought about it. All right, Vance, what kind of special you got for us today?
Got all kinds of specials in here today.
Got all kinds of specials today. Anything in particular? Got a good sale on reels, rods.
We got some, we've been selling a bunch of these Corrados and Shimano SLX reels with the digital chips in them here lately.
Mm-hmm.
We got them in right and left. And
Okay.
We got a few of them right now, but it's a good reel. One of them's $189.99 and the other one's $249.99.
That's guaranteed not to backlash, is that right?
Well,
I'm just
you
kidding.
need to set the reel correctly, but when you set the reel right, it is really hard to backlash them. It works really well. We tested them when they come out to make sure that everything worked good. We got them,
Okay.
and they've been going good for us here.
Good deal, Vance. And that price on that's what?
There's one of them is $189.99 and the other one's $249.99.
All right. All right, Vance, we appreciate it. Folks, do get by here and visit Edgemoor Outdoors. Can't go wrong. I think you'll be well satisfied once you come in the door. Just a minute. Now, Vance, what's this other reel you got here?
We've also got the new Shimano Metanium MGLs. They didn't have them in right hand. We got some left hands right now. We got the rights coming in. They're
Okay.
$419.99. It's the price on those.
I'm assuming that's a good price from what I've been hearing that these things run.
This is one of the top of the line reels that Shimano makes here, and it's got their new Core Solid technology, and it's all one piece.
I'm glad you let me get Wesley in the truck before you drug that out if you want one. I appreciate you, Vance. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
we'll
man.
see y'all Thursday night. Do what, Wes? Oh, yeah, right. Shucks. Okay, folks, we're back and got a bunch of stuff out here on the table. Mike, you got through with the Carolina rig, did you?
Yeah.
Been a lot of fish caught on the Carolina rig over the years. I don't have no problem with fishing it. I just don't fish it. I used to wouldn't go to the lake without one rigged up, but anymore, nah. But don't get me wrong, it will catch fish, and it's got its time and place, for sure, it's no doubt about that. You can kind of drag that thing around on the bottom and a whole lot, and doesn't hang up much, and it puts your bait down there on the bottom. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it. Stirring up that mud trail, or we can call it whatever you want to, but when you're dragging that sinker on the bottom, a lot of times it's creating a little disturbance and on the bottom and this kind of thing, and the fish come to investigate. So, and then, you know, a plastic lizard was a real hot trailer for them. And then worm, you know, put a worm on behind it, the sinker or on the hook. Then they got all these creature baits now that you can put on them. So, you know, that Carolina rig is no slouch. It'll catch fish for sure. All righty. Remember our sponsors, folks. Saw two of them there a while ago. Tim's Tires and Edgemoor Outdoors. Do remember them. Trade with them every time you can. Locally owned businesses, both of them, and it's like all of our sponsors, and we need to support them if at all possible. I'll go into Reynolds Racing and Marine. Talked to Glenn today. He's got the certified Mercury repair dealer in this area, and he's sold quite several motors since last week. About 3, as a matter of fact, and got a couple more pending. These people want to upgrade, and you know, I wished I could. I'd like to have another one for the more or less for the warranty, Mike, because any more of these dang motors, you lose a lower unit, you're anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, depending on which one it is. And you lose a power head, you're looking at $5,000 to $8,000 right there. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the whole purpose. That stuff is quite expensive, and it takes a lot to fix one when it tires up. So yeah, I wished I could upgrade and get me one with some warranty on it. And but my engine, is running great, but it just doesn't have any warranty. 330 some hours on it, and but Mike's got how much on yours?
807.
807. Okay, there you go. So if I can get 807 out of mine, I'll be in business. Yeah, but these, just like everything else, they've gone up in price and technology. Now you buy the oil injected jobs like I've got is a thing of the past. They're not even making them anymore. And my motor's just 5 years old, so they got all the 4-strokes now.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's probably true. But anyway, we'll go back to Reynolds there right quick. He's got, they're putting these combos together. It's the engine, the boat, the trailer, the electronics, the trolling motors, and everything. Anyway, he's got a line on a couple of these boats right now that's less than $30,000, 18-foot boat with it's ready to go. Hooked to it, put it in the water. Yeah. And he called, it's kind of a high school special thing.
Yeah.
For these high school kids that's just getting into fishing, and they got a nice rig, safe rig, and so you might want to give him a call on that. And the other thing he mentioned too was, and I've mentioned it before this time of year, if you're thinking that next spring you'd like to have a new rig or whatever it might be, he wrestles with this. Picking the colors, picking the design, the interiors, the different models that they have, and Glenn, if you think you might want to get a new boat or another engine or something, and especially a boat where you pick out the features that you want, right now's the time to get with him and get it done, and you'd be lucky to have it come spring.
Yeah, more or less customize the boat for you.
Customize the boat for yourself, and because the color that's there at his shop may not be the exact color that you want, and you have to go elsewhere, or you don't get the color that you want, or the layout in the boat that you want. So if you're thinking you're going to trade this fall or come spring, he said, come on by and give him some ideas what you'd like to have. He was real talkative about that. He said, yeah, I'd love for people to come by here and just say, hey, I'd kind of like to look at this and like to have that, and so on and so forth. It's a good color and all that kind of stuff. So if you were in it, thinking about it, stop by down there and see Glenn. He'd love to talk to you and get some ideas of what you might want and what you'd like. So anyway, Mike, what have you got laid out for us over there?
We went over to Max's house Sunday and took Bill over with us, and went over to see Max and got to pour up a few jig heads.
Yeah.
And stuff over there, and he poured some 3/8 with the smaller hook in it, or what you call a war hook. It ain't quite a war, but it's a dandy hook. It's still pretty stout, even though it's a lot smaller hook than this other one here that's about twice the size as far as size of the hook, the strength of the hook. And both of them or at least this one is a forged hook, because it's flat on the side, and this in here is not. It's just a round wire job. But we poured several different size heads in that, and course, we got one that's a bigger size. That's a 3/8.
Yeah, I want to iterate on what you kind of elaborate a little bit. A wire hook is kind of, you know, these are the same size. They're both 4/0 hooks, but this thickness of this hook right here is twice as thick as the smaller hook.
Yeah, that's right.
It's what we call a heavy hook, and then you have a wire hook. You know, this is a little, I mean, it's a little harder to bend and that kind of thing, and this wire hook is, it's like trying to put a needle, stick it, you know. The reason we do that is this smaller hook is easier for penetration than the big heavy hook, but the big heavy hook is great for holding fish and holding on to fish and heavy cover and that kind of thing. So yeah, we've got both sizes and that kind of stuff, so it makes a lot of difference here.
Yeah, this is a 2/0 hook right here, and it is a wire hook. You can grab the needle nose, which you can see I've rolled it in, made a circle hook out of it, and that helps on the hanging up and stuff.
Yeah.
And everything, but yeah, it's really getting small in the size of the metal on the hook, and that forged hooks is a lot stronger. You don't bend them hardly.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole deal right there, and you know, they've all got their advantage and disadvantage, and so we poured up some heads with the wire hook and the forged hook both, and as much trouble as we've had on Norris this year, which we had it last year too, with them fish hooking them and getting them headed to the boat and they get off on you. So you know, we've tried the heavy hook, we tried a longer shank hook, we've tried a short hook. And the wire hook, so we just tried several different things to, you know, keep us from getting them fish on and letting them get off. So,
yeah. We poured that in a 3/8 and a half and a 5/8, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you made 3 different size heads there. I mean, they say sometimes which 5/8's pretty good to me. I mean, you know, you go on down to 3/4 or a 1 ounce or something like in a football head or something. You know, that's a lot of lead to throw out there. But if you ain't got all day to wait on something to hit the bottom, you may be better off fishing a 1/4 ounce or something. You know, but that depends on the line you use. If you're using 6-pound test line in a 1/4 ounce, man, it falls like a 5/8 or a 3/4 on the 14 or 17-pound test line. You know. You got
the resistance
of that line. So it just depends on how long you got to wait for it to hit the bottom. And you know, if your fish is out there 30 foot deep and it takes a 1/4 ounce fly to move slow to catch them, then you know you may have to back up on your line size. But if you can fish a 1/2 ounce on 17 and get out there in 30 foot and get them to hit it, then you know you got more chances of landing him with 17, I guess, than you do the 6 or the 8 or something. But sometimes that's what it takes to catch them. So
yeah,
you got to keep experimenting and trying different things till you find out what they want. Of course, nighttime fishing is a little bit different than daytime fishing up there in that clear water. You may have to stay with that 6-8 pound test line, clear line, you know, and fish that 1/4 ounce or 1/8 ounce or something, you know.
Yep.
Or the drop shot rig or whatever. But that's one thing about it. It allows you to fish deep water pretty easy. That drop shot does.
Yep.
Kind of like the Carolina, you know. A lot of them fish that Carolina and they'll throw heavy sinker or something on it, and then tie a light leader behind it, or even use a braided line up to the swivel there and put their sinker on it, you know, and then use a 6-pound leader line or something on it. You sure got to handle them real easy when you go that 6 and pound test line. Of course, a lot of them fellas, I know that I've talked to several that talk about fishing out in the rivers and stuff out there, and the Obi and different ones that talk about fishing 4-pound test line.
Yeah.
And you know, that's you better back your drag off real good and not be like Wes, crank it down where it won't slip.
Yeah.
I think he kind of does yours that way, don't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he surely does. Well, you know, Mike, that's, and Bill and Max and all those guys, they use that, put that 6-pound test leader and fish that dang braided line. And I'll tell you right now, it surprises me how far it casts with that braided line that they're using. I mean, it throws awful good. It just it's 20 yards further than what I'm casting with 6-pound monofilament. I guarantee you every bit of it. With the light action rod.
Yeah.
That braided line, it gets on out there. Sure does. And you know, they got about an 8-foot leader on there. Shucks, it don't seem to make any difference on the fish catching. So that's one good thing for sure. No doubt about that. But we had a good trip with Max our Sunday afternoon, and you know, we poured up some heads in here and swapped some skirts. We had some new colors and stuff. You might want to show them a color or two of that, Mike. But anyway, you know, there's a whole lot of jig skirts, different colors, shapes, that kind of thing out there on the marketplace today. And the skirt building is got just like the electronics and everything else. It's high tech, you know. Used to you had a white, a black, a chartreuse, or yellow, and a purple, but now they've got multicolored skirts. Be 3 different colors in the same skirt, and just on and on, you know. So things are changing.
That's just like the black, you know. We got a black and blue, you got a black and copper, you got a black and red, you got a black and gold, and they got a black and with purple, just about any kind of color you could think of in it. And you go back into the watermelons, there's so many different colors, shades in the watermelon, from the real light color that you can't hardly see the green in it to the real dark looking in it. And then they come up with the multicolored skirts here, like the copper crawl deal there, where you got the green pumpkin and the black mix in it with a copper glitter in it too.
Yeah.
You know, they just got it all. So much stuff now that you don't know if you got a boat big enough to hold it all.
That's true, Mike, without a doubt. It doesn't take long to get her packed down.
Did you?
I'm telling you.
Used to just a little bitty tackle box and a few top water plugs. And
yeah. I mean, take I don't know, little old sandwich bags you used to pack your lunch in, a number 4 bag or something like that, and you throw that up down in under the lid there somewhere, and everything else was two 6-gallon jugs of gasoline extra, your life jacket, and 5 or 6 reeling rods, and it was all about how quick can I get to where I'm going. And didn't carry a whole lot of stuff. Nowadays, you got everything in the kitchen sink.
You know, when, we talked about it before back in the 60s when we was paddling and started fishing. I can remember when we was up at Ben Witt's, a sports store up here on the hill in Jackson Square, and Mama was there with us, and she seen these new worms, because years ago all you had was that old cream worm, was a little old hard-looking job with 2 or 3 little old tiny hooks in it. And she seen these jelly worms, and so she bought a pack of them, and it had a thing on the back of it showing you how to rig them up, you know. And she got them out there, and we was over Milton Hill, and Dad, of course, he's dead set on that top water plug, and Mama started throwing that worm around, and she's hollering, something grabbed that thing, something grabbed Dad. He just didn't believe that. And then she went to catching some fish on it, and then he finally become a believer in that worm.
Yeah.
And still today, as far as I know, I've not heard anything different. That's still the #1 fish catching this bait they are, is a plastic worm.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me, Mike. Doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's, yeah.
But, you know, I've talked to a lot of the, years ago, talked to a lot of the old timers that before any of that come around, and they had to make their own stuff. Like Ernie Randolph was talking about, said if you went fishing, the only thing they could make was to take a little old lead head and make a pig and jig, as they called it, with a little bit of bucktail hair on it. They didn't have no synthetic or nothing, and then they took their hogs they killed and made their pork rind out of it and stuff. And you know, that's what they had back then, because there wasn't no sports stores or markets or anything to go get anything out of, so you had to make what you wanted. You know, he's telling me all about how he made that pork rind and stuff. Draw it out and then take a pair of scissors and cut it out and stuff. Yeah, said it was white. They didn't think about dyeing it there.
Yeah.
Nothing, but it just white hog skin.
Now, I wish we could still get it today. Sure. I reckon. All right. Folks, don't forget about Zach's Rustic Flags and Wood Crafts. You know, you see the American flag here behind us on the wall. We appreciate him providing us with that. But he's, you know, about 7 different flags, plus some custom-made flags. And he's actually going to have 10 altogether. If you look at these, it says flags coming soon, and there says flags with different stencils, and also some crosses. So do remember that. You see the number on the bottom of the screen, the advertisement there for Zach, and raising money for a good cause. And if you're interested in some of that flag work, and like I said, that beautiful job on this American flag here behind us. So do remember Zach. We appreciate him putting up the flag here for us that he's fixed up. You know, anyway, Mike and I 10 to 1 would rather have some fishing film. That means we've caught some fish if we have film, and hopefully the weather will cooperate with us tomorrow night, and we can get on the water and get up some film, Mike.
That's true. That's true.
And we hope to have Mr. Bill. You know, if the weather's good, we hope to have him in the boat with us tomorrow night. And if the weather's kind of iffy, then hopefully we can have him on there Saturday night with us and make a good trip. Bill hadn't been on the water since losing Polly, and we're going to try to get him back out. 91 years old, ain't Mike?
That's right, 91.
91 years old, buddy. So we'll try to get him back on the water here this weekend for a night or two, and hopefully we can catch a bunch of fish.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
So, listen, y'all be safe. Got the Labor Day weekend looking right at us. Just be safe. You know, think about what if, and enjoy yourself. And if you're on the water, around the water, make sure you got plenty of life jackets for everybody concerned, and that they do fit. And have them out in plain view. You know, if I told you all the story about us getting pulled over on Douglas, and the guy was right. He said, well, I seen you running, and you didn't have your life jackets on, so do you have them? After he pulled us over, after we stopped. I said, yeah, we've got life jackets. He said, do me a favor. Don't lock them back up in your box there. Throw them out here on the floor, where if something were to happen, they wouldn't go, you know, you wouldn't be without them. They'd be floating on top of the water. If you needed one, you'd have it. And he made a lot of sense. So do that, and you never know.
Did you seen that video, the tournament deal where them guys, and they had their life jackets on, tried to cross that other's wave, and it cut in, their boat cut in, and it just, when it cut into the wave, it throwed them both out.
Yeah.
I mean, they wasn't running that fast, but it throwed them both out in the lake.
Yeah. So anyway, do be safe, and be courteous. Be a lot of people on the water this weekend. So have a little patience.
Yeah, last two, Rob, for the summer.
Yeah, that's true, Mike. That's true. Listen, God bless you all. Be safe. Have a good weekend. We'll hope to see you next week. Let people know what we represent.
That's what we're all about. We do try to do an honest day's work for the people, and we've got operators from all over the DOE sites, TVA sites, the outside contractors. We're just about everywhere you see a heavy piece of equipment, good chance that you'll see an operating engineer on it, rather it be Barnhart. I'd like to mention them, All Crane, and all of them that's signatory to us. We have over 100 contractors that's signatory to us, so I definitely appreciate those guys all the way in Chattanooga, Kingsport, Tullahoma, throughout all the way up to Johnson City. So we do cover a big area, and just let us know if we can be any help to local contractors that come through these areas. We'll definitely send you some people.
All right, David. I appreciate all those good words, and we'll get this on the air, and I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Country Fresh Foods. You may not know the name, but you definitely know the taste. Our homemade fudge is shipped all over the country. Its quality is unmatched, and it's made right here in Oliver Springs. But you don't have to travel all over to enjoy it. You can get it right here at our retail store, Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candy, and Gifts. The highest quality fudge in a countless variety of flavors. And we also carry a variety of candy and unique gifts for you to enjoy. Come enjoy the taste you have loved for years at Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candy, and Gifts in Oliver Springs, a division of Country Fresh Foods.
Let's go fishing. You know it's really great. Let's go fishing. In the rivers and on the lakes. Let's go fishing. It's easy when you try. Floating on the water with good old Steve in mind. Floating on the water with good old Steve in mind.
230 QOAA 95 SAW240DT Masala.